In today's episode, let's walk through and talk through how you might convert one piece of content into another piece of content that would be highly entertaining, that would be different, that would be unique, could be fun, etc. I'm specifically talking about using generative AI to ingest, say, standard writing and convert it into a song. Now, why would you do something like this? Well, because you want to stand out, because you want to make something that's fun, that's lighthearted, that is different, that is creative, that is thoughtful, and that communicates things in a different way. My friend Ann Handley publishes this really fantastic newsletter. It's called Total Anarchy, a pun on her name, which you can find over at annhandley.com. And she published this issue on Sunday, June 9th, which is about all of the major big shifts in marketing. You know, traditional SEO is dying. Google is whacking businesses in the knees with the baseball. AI is breaking everything. All these big things are happening. What does it mean for us? It means we should be working on being more human, building on trust and affinity, focusing on what brings us joy, etc. This is a really good issue. It's a really good issue for a newsletter. So, what could we do with this? What if you wanted to change this into something else? There are some really fun AI-based services. There's one here called Suno, for example, that is allows you to give the service a prompt, and then let's go ahead and go to the home tab here. Go to Create and start over. There we go, and you can put in sort of instructions, short prompts to get it to create. Well, one of the challenges of creating something that's unique and different is that you need to have a starting point, right? One of the things that people do most wrong with generative AI is they give very generic, boring, bland instructions. And of course, that creates generic, boring, and bland outputs. So we don't want to do that. The good news is if we start with a really solid input, we can create a really cool output. Ann's newsletter is an example of a really strong input. What if we could take the way that Ann writes and do something fun with it? Now, Ann is a self-professed, really big Taylor Swift fan. What if Suno could replicate something that was inspired by, but not derivative of, the way that Taylor Swift works? The way you would do this is you would have generative AI first understand that and then perform that way. So let's take a look at this. We would say, what are the major components of writing style? And it comes up with things like diction, sentence structure, tone, and voice. And say, okay, well, great. What about songwriting style? You have rhythm and rhyme, lyrical imagery, storytelling, voice, perspective, musicality, and flow. That's pretty good, right? That's a good explanation. This, by the way, we are using the PARE framework from Trust Insights to build this. If you want to learn how to do this, go to trustinsights.ai/PARE. You can get the PDF. It's free, no forms to fill out, etc., etc. So we've now preloaded, we've primed the model with an understanding of what good songwriting is. Now we can then say, well, let's take that framework of components, analyze the song, and provide a detailed outline of the songwriting style for each of these components. So take Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me. And it says, let's break it down. Rhythm and rhyme, meter and rhyme scheme, repetition, conciseness and impact, metaphor, symbolism, narrative, emotional arc, etc. So it does this nice, strong analysis, taking apart this song and saying, here's how it was made. This is kind of like the recipe. So it's not the finished good, because we don't want to copy. We don't want to just make a carbon copy. We want to understand how it was made. And this goes through a lot of that. So it'd say, okay, well, that's great. Convert this analysis, this really detailed analysis, into a prompt for a language model to follow. Saying the purpose of the prompt is to have the user submit some plain written prose and have the language model convert it into a song using the writing style components of this song. It is essential that none of the actual lyrics of the original are used. Instead, use the key elements of the songwriting framework to convert the prose. So again, we want to emphasize, we're not going to copy paste Taylor's original song. We are instead going to take inspiration from the methodology that she uses. And it creates these lovely system instructions. we add a bit more specificity and get at the full prompt. This prompt then goes into the custom instructions for, I'm using Gemini, but you could use this in ChatGPT, right? There's our custom instructions. Now we give this thing Anne's newsletter and say, here's the prose to convert into song lyrics. And it does a nice job of this. I did specify, hey, I want this to be slightly shorter, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, because Suno has length limits on the length of the song. It can only make a song that's 4 minutes long. Typically, if you give it something like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro, it hits that 4 minute limit. So we want to keep it short. So verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, outro. And it comes up with some nice lyrics. One of the things that a service like Suno shines best at, and again, this is true of all generative AI, the more data you bring, the better it performs. Like, it does a really, I think, mediocre job of creating its own lyrics for it, because you only get like 200 characters to prompt it. I don't think that's great. So instead, what we do is we provided all the lyrics ourselves from Gemini, from AI Studio in here, and we put it in. We then need to provide it with a style, how that music sounds. So if you go to Gemini and we say, how would you describe the musical style of this song? You know, it's the genre, tempo, instrumentation, melody, lyrics, structure, production, overall vibe. You know, what about things like chord progression, more technical aspects of the music? Chord progression, it goes through all the stuff, and then say, great, create a 120 character prompt, because that's the amount of space you are allowed to use here for this. That goes in here too. And then for fun, I said, okay, I need 5 candidate song titles for this. What we've now done is we've taken a great piece of original content, Anne's newsletter, revised and refined and distilled it down into song lyrics using generative AI, analyzed a style of writing that we want to leverage to create something, and ultimately turn it into a piece of music. Now, this isn't going to win any Grammys. Right? It's okay. It's not amazing. It's pretty good, but it's not like, wow, it's so good, because it is stylistically derivative. Generative AI will never create something that is completely and totally net new, because it is trained on things that already exist. Right? That's the nature of a prediction machine. It predicts based on what it's already seen. Can it cross genres and do mashups and stuff like that? Absolutely. Can it interpret and understand and blend things together and do synthesis? Absolutely. But it can never create something that has never been seen before, because you can't predict what's never happened. So what did we come up with? How did this sound? Well, let's take the next 4 minutes to give a listen.
LinkedIn's a symphony of voices loud and strong, talking about the big shifts where everything's gone wrong. SEO is dying, Google's lost its touch, they say. AI is here to shake it up, changing everything today. But what really matters, what makes us feel alive, is the heart and the soul that we weave inside. The words we write, the stories that we tell, connections that keep like a magic spell. Why don't they see it? Why don't they understand? It's not about the platform, it's about the human hand. From subject lines to algorithms, they chase the latest score, but the brands last are the ones who give us something more. It's not about the shouting or the flashing neon light. It's about the whispers that make our souls take flight. What really matters, what makes us feel alive, is the heart and the soul that we weave inside. The words we write, the stories that we tell, connections that keep like a magic spell. Why don't they see it? Why don't they understand? It's not about the platform, it's about the human hand. From subject lines to algorithms, they chase the latest sport, but the brands that last are the ones who give us something more. It's not about the shouting or the flashing neon light. It's about the whispers that make our souls take flight. What really matters, what makes us feel alive, is the heart and soul that we weave inside. The
And there you have it. There's a song. It captures really well a lot of the spirit of the original piece, a lot of the spirit of Anne's newsletter. Right? It does a great job of distilling out many of the points that she made in this piece. Right? The bits about LinkedIn and SEO and Google and artificial intelligence, why you sign your work, how important it is, that marketing is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to bring you joy. All that's in there, and all that made that into the song. So the key takeaway here is, if you want really great output from generative AI, start with really great input. Start with really great input and stuff that's unique. Your own writing, your own ideas, your own voicemail transcripts or whatever is going to perform better for creating unique content than just a prompt, because a prompt is generic, right? Write me a story about a princess falling in love, right? That's pretty generic. If you brought in like the tale of Cinderella, or the tale of Frozen, or any of the anything that is the actual source material, generative AI is going to have an easier time working with it, and it's going to create better output. So you should have a content library. Folks in the ad world call it a swipe file. It is a way to store things that you think are really inspirational, really good. You should have a library, especially of your own stuff, things that have performed well in the past, ideas, creative executions, drawings, music, whatever you've got in hand. And that's what you should be using as sort of the fodder, the raw materials to feed to generative AI. It will make more of you as opposed to more generic stuff. And in an era when everyone and their cousin is going to be using generic prompts and generic stuff, you have the opportunity to stand out with your really good original content. So stuff that is uniquely you, which exactly reinforces what Anne was saying in her newsletter. So just thought you would enjoy that fun walkthrough. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know when new videos are available, hit the bell button to be notified as soon as new content is live.